My name is Anaya. It is May 17th. We are here at Anacostia River Festival. Could you state your name for me?
Yes, my name is Baron Jamaal.
Alrighty. And do I have permission to record this interview?
You most certainly do.
Awesome. So when did you first get involved in the go-go scene?
I'm from Annapolis, Maryland, actually, so it's a funny story how music transferred. We had someone in our neighborhood, Neil Taylor, whose cousins lived in Washington, D.C. And so he started bringing down to Annapolis this music with a lot of drum beats that we'd never heard before. And so that's how go-go transformed from D.C. down the Route 50 to the capital city of Annapolis. So that was in 1979, 1980, I believe it was, when I first started listening to go-go music.
Okay. And how would you say go-go has changed since then?
Wow. Go-go has changed a lot since then. I don't want to be disrespectful to this young generation, but the earlier go-go bands and go-go artists, it was more of it was a full tapestry of more instrumentals. You had horns, guitars, chopping. It was just a different keyboards. It was more musical. Go-go was, and it was different types of beats. It wasn't the bounce beat type thing that you hear from some of the bands today that gets a little bit repeatable. So that's what I would see as one of the major changes in the genre, and probably the prices. I haven't been to a go-go in a long while, but when I was a young lad in the late 70s, early 80s, we could see a go-go for like $5, and you could be out all night in an arena someplace or a skating ring or some small venue listening to like 3 or 4 bands.
What would you say is one of your favorite memories about going to the go-go?
My favorite memory, I think, might be going to the Capitol Center. They had what's called the Back to School Boogie back then. And there were various artists, and not all of the artists were go-go artists, but I just recall Experience Unlimited and EU and Sugar Bear being dressed in all white. And as we used to say back then, they turned the Capitol Center out that night. So I will say that was one of my favorite moments, being with an older cousin who had to chaperone myself and my best friend.
Awesome. In what ways would you say that you've contributed to the go-go scene?
Well, the youth contributed to the go-go scene by listening to the godfather of go-go, Chuck Brown. So one of the most popular bands in the early 80s was Rare Essence, and they consisted basically of teenagers, basically. So, and youth are the ones who attended the go-go venues, high school, early college, mostly. And that's how the music, preserved through the 80s all the way into at least the 90s, until some of us young people, got gray hairs. But as I said earlier, the music is different now.
And what's one word you would use to describe go-go?
One word that I would use to describe go-go might not even be a word. And that word would be sice.
Okay, can you explain?
Well, you know what? Sice was popularized by a band, in particular Rare Essence, and one of their lead performers, lead talkers, as we used to call it, Little Benny. And he used to say, "Sice them on up now." So Little Benny had a great impact on us young people throughout the DMV just by the things that he used to say on the microphone. So if I could describe go-go in one word in the honor of Little Benny, I would say sice.
Awesome. What do you think the go-go scene will look like and even sound like in the future?
I have no idea, really, to be honest with you, what the go-go scene would look like and sound like in the future. I can imagine it would be more of a controlled atmosphere as the city's demographic seems to be changing. For a while there in the 90s, there were, unfortunately, acts of violence associated with go-go, so some of the venues closed. So I can just imagine the venues being different, it being more expensive to attend go-go's, and probably less opportunities to go to a go-go. Like in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, you could go to like maybe 2 or 3 different locations to hear go-go music throughout the DMV every weekend.
And is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to touch on, or just anything in general that you would like to add?
Well, one thing about go-go, how it spreads, technology is a big difference now. We used to get go-go on cassette tapes. That's how we listened to it. That's how we found out about it. So to do that, someone would actually have to be in the go-go, record it on some device, and then hope people didn't come in and yell on it, mess up the recording. You would have to hope that the person somebody didn't accidentally press tape or record and put a pause in the tape. So you had to make sure you took out the cassette tape so it couldn't record. And that's pretty much how we preserve stuff, through tapes, through cassettes. But now you can go to the internet, YouTube, these types of things, and hear go-go music. It was so much so that we listened to tapes so much that we barely listened to the radio, if we listened to the radio at all back then. So that's a big difference in terms of the technology and how go-go was transfused, I should say, throughout the city through go-go tapes and boom boxes and the way in which it was recorded.
Do you think that expansion in technology and how people have access, or how many people have access to go-go, do you think that has been like a positive thing or more negative for the go-go scene?
Access to technology, I don't see it right now as being necessarily a positive thing, because back then, if you really wanted to hear the bands, you would actually go to the go-go to listen to the bands. You know, outside of the tapes, that was the thing, to be there live, and you wanted to get your name. That was the thing. We would pass signs up. We would, tell our names. We wanted to have your name on a tape so it could go throughout the city. And I'm not aware of any tapes like that now. There were certain tapes that became hallmarks, if you will, of go-go. Like everybody would tell you about the Rare Essence tape where they had a skirmish with James Funk and people getting into an altercation, or you would have a tape from right here in Anacostia Park. They used to have Malcolm X Day. That was a wonderful time. So you would have a tape from a particular genre, from a particular place, that in and of itself would make that tape a prize, go-go performance. And with the technology, you don't have that as much now, I don't believe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk.
Thank you.